Bugungi darsimizda Cambridge 11 test 2 section 4 analizini ko'ramiz. Section 4 questions 31 to 40. Birinchi navbatda look at the instructions, one word only. Endi savollarni o'qib chiqamiz. Designing a public building, the Tahlil concert hall. Introduction. The designer of a public building may need to consider the building's function, physical and some kind of context, physical and social context, psychological context, mental context, political context, religious context, cultural context. Shunaqa sifat bo'ladi bu qism. Symbolic meaning. Location shu bittasi bo'ladi. Men aytgan javoblardan bittasi bo'ladi. E'tibor bergan bo'lsanglar, orqaroqqa o'tkazinglar. Agar e'tibor bermagan bo'lsanglar, yaxshiroq eshitinglar nima deganimni. Location and concept of the hall on the site of a disused demak o'qisunda ishlatilmagan yoki xato ishlatilgan bitta qanaqadir binoni yo'lida, ustida yoki joyida qurilgan ekan. Disused factory, disused what? Nima bo'lishi mumkin? Ishlatilmagan qanaqadir binoda qisqasi. Besides as something, demak yonida, nimadir yonida qurilgan ekan. Design is based on the concept of a mystery. Tushunarli? Building design. It's approached by something for pedestrians. Approached by something. Bilmayman, tushunmadim. Qisqasi approach qilingan nimadir tomonidan pedestrianlar uchun. Building is a shape of a shape bo'ladi. Bu qismda circle, square, triangle, pentagon, qisqasi bitta shape bo'ladi. One exterior walls acts as a large. Demak, bu qismda bitta tashqi devor nima sifatida ishlatilar ekan, ko'rib berar ekan, ishlab berar ekan. In the auditorium floor is built on the huge pads made of. Demak, bu qismda auditoriumda floor demak nima edi? Nima edi mana bu? Nima ustuni floorda qisqasi pol pads, huge padlar ustiga qurilgan va huge padlar nimadandir tayyorlangan. Made of bo'lgan ekan, qanaqadir material bo'ladi. Aluminium, metal, wood, like something bo'ladi. Shunaqa qanaqadir material bo'ladi. The walls are made of local wood and are something in shape. Demak, bu qismda yana anu bo'ladi. Shape bo'ladi. Triangular, pentagon, like square, shunaqa. Ceiling panels and something on walls allow adjustments of acoustics. Demak, bu qismda ceilingdagi panellar, tepadagi shiftdagi panellar yoki patologdagilar, nimadagidir, walldagi nimalardir yaxshi akustikani adjustmentiga ruxsat berar ekan, yordam berar ekan. Evaluation. Some critics say some style of building is inappropriate. Demak, qismda ba'zi kritiklar qanaqadir stili inappropriate, ya'ni to'g'ri kelmaydigan deb hisoblashar ekan. Demak, qismda stil, qanaqadir stil bu adjective bo'lishi mumkin. Bu qanaqa stillar bo'lishi mumkin? Traditional style bo'lishi mumkin, western style bo'lishi mumkin, international style bo'lishi mumkin, national style bo'lishi mumkin, beautiful style, qanaqadir al bilan tugaydigan style bo'ladi menimcha. Ko'ramiz, eshitib ko'ramiz savollarni shunaqa qilib analiz qildik. Shunaqa qilib analiz qilsanglar o'zingizga foydali bo'ladi. Qanaqa analiz qilganimni eshitib turinglar, chunki mana shunaqa analizlarimiz javoblarni topishimizda ancha yordam beradi. Xo'p, endi eshitamiz.
Section 4. You will hear part of a lecture to students of architecture about the design of a public building. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. We've been discussing. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Let's go.
We've been discussing the factors the architect has to consider when designing domestic buildings. I'm going to move on now to consider the design of public buildings, and I'll illustrate this by referring to the new Tahlil concert hall that's recently been completed here in the city. So, as with a domestic building, when designing a public building, an architect needs to consider the function of the building. For example, is it to be used primarily for entertainment, or for education, or for administration? The second thing the architect needs to think about is the context of the building. This includes its physical location, obviously, but it also includes the social meaning of the building.
Social meaning of the building, social context of the building. Social degan gapni aytgandim. Social, religious, political ham doim social bo'ladi. Masalan, o'zing ko'rganingdek, agar shunaqa Taxminiy javoblarni bilsanglar oson bo'ladi.
How it relates to the people it's built for. And finally,
Qo'shib ketib ketay. Ko'pchilik odamlar buni o'qib olgan, bilib olgan, javoblarni biladi, taxmin qilyapti, javoblarni bilib gapiryapti deyish mumkin. Shunaqa o'ylashlar mumkin, lekin unaqa emas. Nimaga unaqa emas? Chunki bu yerda kontekst qanaqa bo'lishi mumkin? Physical dedi, al bilan tugadi, en yozib qo'yibdi. En so'zi doimo bir xil strukturadagi, bir xil formadagi so'zlarni bir-biriga bog'laydi. Demak, bu physical degan bo'lsa, sifat bu physical al bilan tugadi, demak sifatni yozuvchi al so'zi bilan tugadi, qo'shimchasi bilan tugadi va undan keyingi qismi bu al bilan tugaydigan so'z bo'lishi kerak. En bilan tugaydigan sifat bo'lishi kerak va al bilan tugaydigan sifatlar unchalik ko'p emas. Political bo'lishi mumkin, social bo'lishi mumkin, traditional bo'lishi mumkin, cultural bo'lishi mumkin, religious deb qo'yib masalan shunaqa javoblarni topish juda ham ehtimol juda ham katta. Endi savolga javobni topamiz. Xayoldan olindi. This includes physical location, obviously, but it also includes the social meaning of the building. Thanks.
for important public buildings, the architect may also be looking for a central symbolic idea on which to base the design. A sort of metaphor for the building and the way in which it is used. Let's look at the new Taylor Concert Hall in relation to these ideas. The location chosen was a site in a run-down district that has been ignored in previous redevelopment plans.
Run-down district that has been ignored in previous plans. On site of run-down district bo'lishi mumkin masalan. Javob bilmadim, ko'ramiz. District bo'lishi mumkin katta ehtimol bilan.
It was occupied by a factory that has been empty for some years.
It was occupied by a factory that wasn't used for years. On the site demak o'sha district butun distriktda bo'lolmaganligi sababli javob factory bo'ladi. Javobimiz factory. The location chosen was set of a run-down district that has been ignored in previous development plans. It was occupied by a factory that has been empty for some years. Bo'sh yotgan factory, ya'ni zavodni joyida qurilgan.
The whole area was some distance from the high-rise office blocks of the central business district and shopping centre, but it was only 1 kilometre from the ring road.
It was 1 kilometre away from the ring road. Ring road bo'lmaydi.
The site itself was bordered to the north by a canal, which had once been used by boats.
Bordered to the north by canal. Beside a canal bo'ladi javob. Kanalni yonida border qilgan. Demak, yonma-yon bo'lgan. The site itself bordered to the north by a canal. Mana javob ko'rganingizdek, kanal bilan border bo'lgan, chegaradosh bo'lgan. Boshqa so'zlarni aytib tashladi. Mana ring road dedi, business district dedi. Ular javob emas. Ular faqatgina chalg'ituvchi gaplar va u chalg'ituvchi gaplarni asosan mag'ziga e'tibor bersangiz, u besad degan gap yo'q. Ular zo'roqda degan javob bor. Mag'ziga e'tibor beradigan bo'lsangiz, davom etamiz.
Bringing in raw materials when the area was used for manufacturing. The architect chosen for the project was Tom Harrison. He found the main design challenge was the location of the site in an area that had no neighbouring buildings of any importance. To reflect the fact that the significance of the building in this quite run-down location was as yet unknown, he decided to create a building centred around the idea of a mystery, something whose meaning still has to be discovered. So, how was this reflected in the design of the building? Well, Harrison decided to create pedestrian access to the building and to make use of the presence of water on the site. As people approach the entrance, they therefore have to cross over a bridge.
Approached by a bridge for pedestrians. Bo'larkan, bridge ni o'tish kerak access qilish uchun. Wow, it's hard. So I'm just going to stop after this. Reflects the design of the building, decide to create a pedestrian access to the building to make the use of presence of water as people approach the entrance. They therefore have to cross over a bridge. Javob bridge bo'ladi. Keyingisiga o'tamiz.
He wanted to give people a feeling of suspense as they see the building first from a distance and then close up. And the initial impression he wanted to create from the shape of the building as a whole was that of a box. The first side that people see, the
shape of a box dedi, o'z ko'rganingizdek, shape of a box bo'lgan, qutini shapeida bo'lgan. The initial impression he wanted to create from the shape of a building as a whole was that of a box. Javob box.
southern wall is just a high, flat wall uninterrupted by any windows. This might sound off-putting, but it supports Harrison's concept of the building, that the person approaching is intrigued and wonders what will be inside. And this flat wall also has another purpose. At night time, projectors are switched on and it functions as a huge screen.
It functions as a huge screen. Javob large screen bo'ladi. Screen o'z vazifasini o'tarkan, chunki devorlari yo'q, darvoza nima deyiladi? Oknolari yo'q, shuning uchun ham oson screen qilishga. Its flat wall also has another purpose. At night the projectors are switched on. It functions as a huge screen onto which images are projected. Let's go. O'zingizlar ko'rgan endi huge pause bo'ldi, juda ham katta pauza bo'ldi. Auditoriyamga o'tishyapti, chunki o'shunaqa qismlarni ko'rish, sub-headlinelarga e'tibor berish, masalan, auditoriyam e'tibor berish, masalan, 36 ni o'tkazib olsangiz, 37 ni topib olishingiz uchun juda ham yordam beradi, qo'l keladi.
The auditorium itself seats 1500 people. The floors supported by 10 massive pads. These are constructed from rubber and so are able to absorb
10 massive pads. These are constructed from rubber dedi. Rubber. Rezinkadan. Rubber. The auditorium sits 100,500 people. The floor is supported by 10 massive pads. These are constructed from rubber. Rubberdan, rezinkadan qilingan, kauchukdan qilingan.
Absorb any vibrations from outside and prevent them from affecting the auditorium. The walls are made of several layers of honey-colored wood, all sourced from local beech trees. In order to improve the acoustic properties of the auditorium and to amplify the sound, they are not straight, they are curved.
They are not straight, texmas, curved in shape. Curved in shape. Curved in shape bo'ladi javob. Hop. In order to improve the acoustical properties of the auditorium and amplify the sound, they are not straight. Straight emas, they are curved, ya'ni qiyiroq.
The acoustics are also adjustable according to the size of orchestra and the type of music being played. In order to achieve this, there are 9 movable panels in the ceiling above the orchestra, which are all individually motorized. And the walls also have curtains, which can be opened or closed.
Which can be opened or curtains, pardalar. Curtains. Demak, curtains bo'lar ekan, demak devorda pardalar bor ekan, o'sha pardalarni open close qilish orqali akustikani o'zgartirsa bo'ladi. Walls also have curtains which can be opened and closed to change the acoustics.
The reaction of the public to the new building has generally been positive. However, the evaluation of some critics has been less enthusiastic. In spite of Harrison's efforts to use local materials, they criticized the style of the design as being international.
O'z ko'rganingizdek, Harrison local producerlarni ishlatganligiga qaramasdan, style'ni criticize qilishdi. Bilmayman, kritikga qarab tura olmaydi. Bir narsani topish kerak. International style yaxshi emas debdi. International style. Sen o'zing yaxshi emassan, bor ishingni qil demaydi hech kim. International style wasn't popular. Well, however, the evolution of some critics has been less enthusiastic. In spite of Harrison's efforts to use local materials, they criticize the style of the design as being international rather than local.
And say it doesn't reflect features of the landscape or society for which it is built.
Xo'p, shu bilan bugungi darsimiz o'z nihoyasiga yetadi. Hamma savollarga javob berishga harakat qildik va javoblarni circle qildik, aylanaga olib qo'ydik va bu javoblarga yordam beruvchi yordamchi so'zlarni underline qildik. Faqatgina o'shalarni o'qishingiz, bilmaydigan so'zlarni yodlashingiz va umumiy jihatdan skriptni tushunishingiz bu savollarni hammasiga tushunishingizda ta'minlab beradi. Undan keyin ham tushunmay qoladigan bo'lsangiz, komment qoldirishingiz mumkin. Faqatgina ozgina mehnat qilinglar, so'z yodlasanglar, bu listenni 9 olishi eng tez yo'li bu so'z yodlash hisoblanadi. Keyingi darslarda ko'rishguncha xayr. Bye bye.